What a pleasant good morning from the nation's capital here in Monrovia. Today is Thursday, November 7, AD 2024. Welcome to the program King's News Broom. King's News Broom is a 45-minute news program that highlights the major news happening from Liberia and other parts of the world. My name is Otis Sankan with this morning news presentation. Stories we are carrying: House Speaker Councillor J. Funanti Kofa responds to a recent ruling by Associate Justice Yemi Basit, which denied his petition for a writ of prohibition against a group of lawmakers holding separate sections at the Capitol. National Executive Committee of the Congress for Democratic Change temporarily suspends a numbers of its lawmakers for their involvement in the Unity Party activities, cite violation of the party constitution. President Joseph Boakai announces additional nomination in government, impacting Sarah's ministries, that's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other institutions. And away from Liberia, South Africa has closed one of its busiest borders that's crossing with Mozambique following violent post-electoral protests in the neighboring country. Those are the headlines. For the details of the news, we take a short break. When we return, we bring you the bulletin of the news. Welcome back. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Councillor J. Funanti Kofa, has responded to a recent ruling by Associate Justice Yemi Basit, which denied his petition for a writ of prohibition against a group of lawmakers holding separate sections at the Capitol. The session held in the John Chambers by a faction of 43 lawmakers present a push for Kofa removal from office, though no formal impeachment proceeding have been initiated. The Speaker has sought the Supreme Court intervention to stop these comparable sections, arguing that they undermine the authority of his office and disrupt legislative order. However, the petition was rejected on November 6, prompting Kofa to consider taking the matter to the full bench of the Supreme Court. In response to the ruling, Speaker Kofa reiterated his commitment to upholding the Constitution and protecting the established rules of the House. The group of lawmakers who are identified as the majority bloc have challenged the validity of the House standing rules and questioned Speaker Kofa's authority, claiming that their numerical strength gave them legitimate grounds to hold sections independently. During a conference with Associate Justice Basit on Monday, the anti-Kofa faction admitted that due process had not been extended to the Speaker, but argued that since no formal impeachment proceeding had commenced, a request for prohibition was premature. The National Executive Committee of the Opposition Congress for Democratic Change had temporarily suspended members of its lawmakers for their involvement in the Unity Party activities, citing violations of the party constitution. Those suspended include representatives from Lofa, River G, Mangibi, Sano, and Maryland counties, and the affected lawmakers include Deputy Speaker Thomas Fallal of Lofa County, Honorable Alexander Poe of River G County, Honorable Asik Cholople Woe of River G County, Honorable Johnson Williams of River G County, Honorable Julie Weird of Lofa County, Honorable Momo Boto of Lofa County, Honorable Ava Jones of Mangibi County, Honorable Imara Yard of Mangibi County, Honorable Clarence Gard of Mangibi County, Honorable P. Max Jubber of Maryland County, and Honorable Samson Kiwia of Sano County. The party called on President Joseph Boakai to cease his political maneuvering, which they claim threatened to destabilize the democratic framework of Liberia. The CDC accused President Boakai of attempting to establish a one-party dominant state that undermines the check and balances within the government. They also criticized that they perceive as an executive outreach, which includes interference with the legislature and disregard for the decision made by the judiciary. President Joseph Boakai has announced Sarah's key nomination impacting the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Those nominated are Dr. R. Hassan Counter, designated as ambassador to the United States, and Louis Brown, appointed as Liberia permanent representative to the United Nations. Dr. Counter currently serves as Liberia ambassador to Nigeria, while Brown previously held that's the UN role during both the Salif Boakai administration and the early part of the Weah Taylor administration. Others nominated include Genevieve Kennedy, designated as ambassador to the United Kingdom, Tico Yolit, ambassador to France, former presidential candidate Edward Appleton, ambassador to Japan, Brahman Kabar, ambassador to Kuwait, and Mohammed Khan, ambassador to Qatar. The list include Aliou Silla, designated as ambassador to Senegal, Joseph Johnson, ambassador to Morocco, and Musu J. Rui, ambassador to Ghana. All of those appointments are subject to confirmation by the Liberian Senate. The Liberia Revenue Authority says it is at a significant milestone in its digital transformation journey with the receipt of 50 Starlink satellite terminals. With funding from the International Development Association and the government of Sweden through the Public Financial Management Reform and Institutional Strengthening Projects. This equipment is valued at approximately US 162,000, making a significant leap forward in enhancing internet access for tax business offices and custom business offices across Liberia, including rural areas previously challenged by limited internet connectivities. The introduction of Starlink, a cutting-edge satellite internet service provider, will enhance internet connectivities at LRA offices nationwide. This initiative is crucial to the LRA strategic plan on leveraging digital technology to enhance revenue collection, providing real-time access to performances data in rural areas, and bolstering transparency, accountability, and reporting processes. LRA Commissioner General James Jala has expressed deep gratitude to the World Bank and all partners, acknowledging the invaluable support that has made his vision a reality. The managing director of the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Authority, Augustus Gonwa, has dismissed claims of an increase in electricity tariffs, clarifying that current tariffs remain unchanged. Speaking at the Ministry of Information regular press briefing Tuesday, November 5th, Gonwan emphasized that no additional charges have been imposed on electricity rates. He clarified that although the Liberia Electricity Corporation recently submitted a proposal for a tariff adjustment, LERC is carefully reviewing it and has not yet made a decision. Gonwan explained that before any rate adjustment is approved, LERC will engage in thorough discussion with stakeholders to assess the impact. The Liberia Electricity Regulatory Authority received a proposal from LEC on October 21, 2024, which suggests new electricity tariffs for the period from January 1, 2025 to December 1, that's 31st, 2027. However, Gonwan clarified that this proposal is not a final decision and LERC has not yet reached a conclusion. Citizens United to Promote Development and Accountability, a pro-democracy organization, has called on all those appointed in position in government by President Joseph Boakai and are holding position in their respective political parties to do the honorable thing by resigning of the post. The organization executive director Victor Barlow said they must relinquish either their political party position so as to focus on the delivery of public services or resigning from these appointed public offices so as to diligently serve their political parties. Addressing the press conference in Monrovia, Barlow called on President Boakai to take some punitive measures against those wanting to undermine the rule of law and value of democracy, as they are not only demoralizing the law but also his government. According to Barlow, it is essential that President Bouaga hold those who violate the law accountable, regardless of their position or relationship with him, to restore and maintain public trust. Justice Nchima Yami Kyubese of the Supreme Court has lifted the temporary stay order on the House of Representatives and declined to issue the writ of prohibition against the anti-Kofa bloc. Speaker J. Fudanti Kofa has sought a prohibition from the Supreme Court against his colleagues who have refused to participate in section under his leadership, opting instead to hold parallel section in the joint chamber of the legislature. This faction, calling itself the majority bloc, has expressed intent to remove Kofa as Speaker, but has yet to formally initiate impeachment proceeding as required by the Constitution. The Supreme Court October 25th stay order, which had temporarily restrained the majority bloc activities, has now been formally lifted, allowing the group to continue their activities. The majority bloc has questioned the validity of the House standing rules and Speaker Kofa authorities, claiming they hold a majority and seeking judicial validation of their position. The Liberian government, through the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, has officially commenced an intensive training program in monitoring and evaluation for over 200 government employees under the Liberian Women Empowerment Project. This 9-day training exercise will be in two phases from November 1 to 2020, that's November 1 to 2021, and December 4, that's November 1 to 21, and December 4, 2024. November 1 marked the beginning of the first phase in Painesville City. This training is part of component 4 of the Liberian Women Empowerment Project, which focuses on strengthening public institutions to advance gender equality. The training targets staff from the Gender Social Inclusion Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, and gender coordinators from all 15 counties, aiming to enhance their skills and knowledge in promoting gender equality and women empowerment across Liberia. The Ministry of Education, Ministry of National Defense, and Ministry of Internal Affairs joined the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection in launching the first phase. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning and Partners have begun a 2-day roundtable discussion aimed at validating the national sectors of the agenda for inclusive development. Speaking at the ceremony marking the beginning of the deliberation, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafuan disclosed that the estimated cost of the plan about $7.6 billion United States dollars. According to Minister Gafuan, the Liberian government will have to contribute $2.28 billion United States dollars, and the development stakeholders, including private sectors, are expected to contribute $2.6 billion United States dollars. Mr. Gafuan added that official development assistance is estimated as $1.9 billion United States dollars. The Finance and Development Planning Minister then encouraged discussants to critically analyze the document and advance proposals that will help in moving the country forward. Widows of the Armed Forces of Liberia have been given the Liberian government 72 hours ultimatum to invite them to discuss their benefits and appoint a Director General for the National Bureau of Veterans Affairs. The chairperson of the AFL Widows, Merit Allison, said since the inception of this government, they have been drilling them with no sign of addressing their problems of their benefits. Speaking when hundreds of widows converged at the compounds of the National Bureau of Veteran Affairs, Madam Alice instructed all widows within the country to report to Monrovia in 72 hours in order to march to the executive mansion in demands of their benefits. According to Madam Allison, the AFL widows will only stay at the bureau for 3 days, and when they do not hear anything from the government, then they will march to the executive mansion. The Customs Department of the Liberia Revenue Authority has completed a week-long capacity building and refresher training for over 60 custom officers, primarily examiners, who play a critical role in the LR8 operation. Custom examiners are responsible for inspecting and assessing goods being imported into or exported from Liberia, ensuring compliance with customs laws and regulations. Their role is pivotal in balancing the enforcement of customs rules with facilitating smooth flow of international trade while securing the necessary revenue for the country. The refresher training recently held in Ganta Nima County focused on updating examiners, acknowledge and align them with modern customs processes and procedures. The officers were also trained on navigating LRA communication platform to stay informed while engaging with taxpayers. The 60 participants drawn from various borders and put across Liberia were introduced to the latest advancement in customs processes, procedures, and technologies. These tools are designed to enhance the operational efficiency and ensure they are up to date with modern customs practices. Speaking at the event, Assistant Commissioner for Customs Policy and Technical Operation, Anthony William Buku, underscored the importance of keeping customs officers informed on global customs standards. In foreign news, South Africa has closed one of its busier border crossings with Mozambique following violent post-electoral protests in the neighboring country. The protests have led to daily clashes in several cities following last month's disputed presidential election won by Mozambique's ruling Frelimo party. The authority says there are reports of vehicles being touched on the Mozambican side of the Limpopo port of entry. Due to this security incident and in the interest of public safety, the port has been temporarily closed until further notice, the South African Border Agency said. Well, if you are just joining us, this is a reminder that you are tuned to King's News Broom, 45-minute news package that highlights the major news happening from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is November 7, 2024, and I'm Otis Sankam presenting stories we carrying this morning on the presentation. House Speaker Councillor J. Fonanti Kofa responds to a recent ruling by Associate Justice Yemi Gwesit, which denied his petition for the writ of prohibition against a group of lawmakers holding separate section at the Capitol. National Executive Committee of the Congress for Democratic Change temporarily suspends a number of its lawmakers for their involvement in the Unity Party activities, cites violation of the party constitution. President Joseph Boakai announces additional nomination in government, impacting the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other institutions. And away from Liberia, South Africa has closed one of its busier border crossing with Mozambique following violent post-electoral protests in the neighboring country. Those are the headlines. We'll take another break. When we return, we'll bring you the voices that make the news. Thanks for rejoining us and welcome back. As you may hear in the news, the Secretary General of the Coalition for Democratic Change, Jefferson Koji, has taken action against 11 parties lawmakers who are involved in the removal of Speaker Fonanti Kofa. Speaking to journalists at the party headquarters in Congo Town, Koji stated that the behavior of these partisans goes against the CDC constitution and will not be tolerated. According to him, the suspended lawmakers include Deputy Speaker Thomas P. Fowler, Representative Ellis Poe of River G County, and Representative Arthur B. Cholpley, Woe of River G County, and so on.
Partisans who are lawmakers will allow themselves to be used in this process. This act of partisan violate Part 2, Chapter 1 through 5 of the CDC Constitution. Hence, party will create no space for such deviant parties. The party has therefore decided, in keeping with Part 2, Chapter 1 through 14, to temporarily suspend those partisans who are lawmakers being used and request them, in keeping with Part 1, Article 15, Section 80, and Part 2, Chapter 1, Rule 17 and 18, to avail themselves. To what? To avail themselves. This is a respectable institution. We follow the rules of law. We preside over this country. We govern this place here. We're ruling law. Our institution will do the same thing. So we get an opportunity that our constitution, they must be temporarily suspended, go to the Active and Grievance Committee for immediate and speedy investigation. When they are liable, then they proceed to the National Executive Committee. On the basis of that, the National Executive Committee will take a decision, and that decision will be conveyed by the National Sitting Chairperson, Apostle John Yaku. Avail themselves to the National Disciplinary and Grievance Executive Committee for investigation. Those involved as from 11 of them. This party operates on precedent and tradition. We have never fallen short, never will we draw back. The party remains the creator. Those people remain the creature. Number one of them, Thomas Fowler, Deputy Speaker, District number 1, Lofa County. Alexander Poor, District number 1, River G County. Isaac Choe Wu, District number 2, River G County. Johnson S. Williams, District number 3, River G County. Judy N. Weir, District number 2, Lofa County. Momo Siafa Kwoto, District number 3, Lofa County. Honorable Alva K. Jones, District number 2, Magibi County. Honorable Emmanuel Ya, District number 4, Magibi County. Honorable Clarence Gar, District number 5, Magibi County. Honorable P. Mark Jury, District number 1, Maryland County. Honorable Samson Q. Weir, District number 2, Tamo County. 2. The CDC remains committed to upholding the peace and stability of the state and caution Joseph White to desist from instituting political manipulation that have the potential to undermine our hard-earned.
Meanwhile, Koji calls on parties members to gather in District number 15 to commemorate the lives of those who have sacrificed for the party.
In followers, party, and all of these partisans and supporters, that it's Matthias Day, It is a day when men and women in defense of democracy for this party gave their life and they stood up disaster because of this political mumbo jumbo that is occurring in our country. So we will now follow all our partisans. We will be at District 15 tomorrow. The evening hour with few of the family in a ceremony of observance. Men who were killed because they support the cities. Men who are killed by what the Unity Party region. So we are celebrating a massive or a gigantic celebration. We are always trying to go to District 15, so we'll be there tomorrow. In memory of our fallen martyrs, we have contacted some of the families. They will be there, and we just give them flower. And we ask for a delegation to go to their respective site and to tell them that the CDC still live. Even though they are not here, but they need to remember, CDC shall never die. Give their life till they are blocked. So we're somewhere in District 15. Where? District 15. So you are asked to be there very early, and we will be there in memory of our fallen man. But they focus on turning setback into a great comeback.
He's Jefferson Tamakoji, former city mayor and secretary general of the Congress for Democratic Change, speaking to schools of journalists at his party headquarters. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning and partners have begun a 2-day roundtable discussion aimed at validating the national sectors of the arrest agenda for inclusive development. Speaking at the ceremony marking the beginning of the deliberation, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafuan disclosed that the estimated cost of the plan about $7.6 billion United States dollars. According to Minister Gaffron, the Liberian government will have to contribute 2.28 billion United States dollars, and the development stakeholders, including private sector, are expected to contribute 2.6 billion United States dollars.
This validation meeting is one of the last milestones in our roadmap to launching and implementing the new National Development Plan, which is dubbed the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development, the AAID. The process leading to the formulation of this draft plan has been highly consultative and inclusive from the onset. As you may recall, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Newman Boakai, launched the national and subnational consultative process on the bottom-up approach. The draft AAID we are validating today is the outcome of a series of meetings that we have held across the country. Our medium-term development agenda is largely driven by the arrest priorities. Diversification of our economy is targeting low-hanging fruits in the tourism sector, which has a huge potential for driving private investment. The tourism sector and the agriculture sector are highly private sector driven, and we expect the private sector to seize the opportunity. We are also going to emphasize ICT, energy, and watch, as well as all the other elements of the priority. The ultimate goal of the AID is to improve the economic and human development indicators of our people. The estimate cost of the plan is put at $7.6 billion, of which $2.28 billion will be the contribution from the GOL. The development stakeholders, such as the private sector, are expected to contribute $2.6 billion. Official development assistance is estimated at $1.9 billion, and remittances from the diaspora is estimated at $761 million United States dollars. It is important to note that we all have a role to play in national development. The private sector, development partners, Liberians at home and abroad, the civil society, the youth, among others, all have a role to play. We need to leverage our resources in the development of our country as we work towards leaving no one behind. I wish on behalf of the government to thank our development partners for the immense contribution in facilitating the formulation process of the plan since the inception stage when we kick-started the consultation.
His Augustine Gaffron, Minister of the Ministry of Finance, Development and Planning, speaking. Widows of the Armed Forces of Liberia have given the Liberian government 72 hours ultimatum to invite them to discuss the benefits and appoint a Director General for the National Bureau of Veterans Affairs. The chairperson of the AFL Widows, Mary Allison, said since the inception of this government, they have been drilling them with no sign of addressing their problems for their benefits. Speaking when hundreds of widows converged at the compounds of the National Bureau of Veteran Affairs, Madam Allison instructed all widows within the country to report to Monrovia in 72 hours in order to march to the executive mansion in demands of their benefits.
Our reason are coming to veteran because our veteran was there done my veteran period. And every soldier that died, veteran responsible for the soldiers who died in the army. But since the government took over, not a day they ever call us. But the past government, I did they will call us. So see you come round table, they all discuss. I did a Christmas, booty coming your whole day 1 year. We'll see what to do for you. But nothing at all. Even my head is the same. Nothing coming to 1 year plus. Number two, the veteran need a new director. Because when the director is there, maybe you will have to push other men like HR. There is no director. So maybe that clip is that we will not appoint anybody to be in that place. Let it be open, then they will not get strength. But they can't stop every other thing from being other thing. So what I have to say to the government, let it please try to see how best they will call they go on round table for the count of one conclusion, and also the veteran who is responsible for about document and things, that they get a hair that will be here. That tomorrow, when they say, oh, they're giving the go to $5, $10, why the government care for us? Let them please call us to go on round table. Nobody now call us to say, bring your office staff. You're not go on round table. Each and go, they will say, okay, we'll see what to do. But, oh, So we tired. So we come to Veteran Bureau. A veteran able to push us, will get outside. We're not here for 2 days, so we will sleep here today, we will sleep here tomorrow. The third day, we get it outside. So all the water that in the car, that we plant today, you in Nosa, you in Lima, whether you in Lima, you hear my voice, please report yourself in Monrovia. I want to see all the water on the 10th of this month. I want everybody to suffer up for us, and we'll get in the street. If there is no redress for us for today and tomorrow, we'll get up on the street. We will die, we'll die. I'm going to the mansion.
She's Madam Mary Allison, head of Widows of the Armed Forces of Liberia. In case you are just joining us, you are in tune to King's News Broom. It is a 45-minute news package that highlights major news events from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is November 7, AD 2024, and I'm Otis Sanka presenting this early morning edition of the program. Stories we carry: House Speaker Councillor J. Fonanti Kofa responds to a recent ruling by Associate Justice Yenwin Wesit, which denied his petition for the writ of prohibition against a group of lawmakers holding separate session at the Capitol. The National Executive Committee of the Congress for Democratic Change temporarily suspends a number of its lawmakers for their involvement in the Unity Party activities, cites violation of the party constitution. President Joseph Boakai announces additional nominations in government, impacting Sarah's, that's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other institutions. And away from Liberia, South Africa has closed one of its base-year borders crossing with Mozambique following violent post-electoral protests in the neighboring countries. Those are the headlines. Welcome back to the program. Citizens United to promote development and accountability, a pro-democracy organization, has called on all those appointed in position in government by President Joseph Boakai and are holding position in their respective political parties to do the honorable thing by resigning the post. The organization executive director, Victor Barlow, said they must relinquish either their political party position so as to focus on the delivery of public services, or resigning from these appointed public offices so as to diligently serve their political parties. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Barlow called on President Boakai to take some punitive measures against those wanting to undermine the rule of law and values of democracy, as they are not only demoralizing the law but also his government.
The continued violation of our law by officials of government is not only corroding the image of the government, but it is as well setting a poor example for the next generation that is on the sideline watching. The consistent violation of our laws is not only dwindling the confidence the citizen repose in the president, but it is as well normalizing dishonesty and corruption in the public sector. The violation of public laws by people in position of high esteem often lead to financial losses, deter investment, and diminish economic stability within the public sector. It also diminishes investors' confidence and impedes international cooperation. This is no time for any public official to put up offensive and defensive posture towards the code of conduct, as doing so will undermine government's efforts towards the promotion of the rule of law and democracy. Anyone who does that is not only a deceptive person to the ordinary people, but also discourteous to his or her boss who took the oath of affirmation to protect and defend the laws of the land. You cannot be in public service with a shadowy mindset. We think public officials at all times should exhibit the characteristics of transparency and accountability in all of their dealings so as to erase negative perception in the minds of those they serve. The declaration of public officials' assets prior to assuming office is fundamental to the promotion of a corrupt-free society and the promotion of transparency in our governance structure. Being adamant to comply with the law render you, the public servant, not just a corrupt person, but also an abuser of the law. Being cognizant these provisions of the code of conduct, yet choose to throw blind eyes on the sacredness of our organic law is considered as a clear underminer of the trust and confidence that the citizens place in the government. Let's not forget that trust is the bedrock of effective governance. Without it, society tends to face increased skepticism, disengagement, and disillusionment. We strongly believe that Liberia is built on the principles of equal justice under the law and not lawlessness. With no fear of favor, when public officials break the law, it creates a dangerous precedent that suggests those in power are above the law. This not only erodes the rule of law, but also encourages a culture of impunity, corruption, and misconduct by public officials that divert resources away from essential public services and development projects.
He's Victor Barlow, head of a pro-democracy group, speaking to a team of journalists at a press conference in Monrovia. Aggrieved workers of the National Elections Commission on Tuesday held a protest in demand of an investigation on the Board of Commissioners of the electoral body. Speaking with journalists during the protest, Augustine Sion, one of the protesters, disclosed that there is a need for thorough investigation to be carried out, as he termed the Board of Commissioners as corrupt and selfish. He noted that the low salaries of workers, non-insurance, and bad leadership at NEC are reasons behind the protest against the election house of Liberia.
Yeah, but people then they are very corrupt. Let me talk about my very self. They took us as contractor drivers. They bought $35,000 car. Then they only pay me $175. Car insurance. I don't have insurance for 2018. I've been with it. Yeah, after election, then they hire up. Getting me? Then they hire up. Then they only pay up. Car bought $35,000 car. Then you pay me $175 because they are corrupt. Our benefits, so they can get our benefits. You wanna pay you take somebody. How you wanna pay somebody that corrupt them? But as soon as money, there are people that know what they just the fee. But we are drawer. You so pay me $175. Once they pay me $175, I expect drawer car insurance. Your car insurance. I don't have insurance.
He's Augustine Sion, a protester speaking to journalists. Meanwhile, addressing the press on the corruption allegation leveled against the Board of Commissioners of NEC, the Election Commission Board Director Brian Lasana said the workers have received 6 months general allowances, noting that the problem resulted in a low allocation of funds for the NEC to pay.
Months general allowance, 100% of each staff's salary, agreed by board members in a meeting with technicians to readjust the budget that was giving us 53 million. 6 months were paid to all staff. So the problem here is we submitted a budget of 91 million. The government said it couldn't raise that money. There were negotiations between the Ministry of Finance as well as those negotiations came from 91 to 84 to 73 to 64 to 61 million. And then finally the Ministry of Finance said we can only raise 53. We are committed to 53. So any budget proposal or any budget process, it's a proposal first. Once it gets approved, before it becomes law. So what is law is 53 million United States dollars that was given to the net. When you have 91 and you have what do you call it, general allowance in there for 12 to 18 months, you have civic and voter education, you have all of these different lines in the budget. You have to recalibrate that budget to make it speak to the money that is being accrued. So everything gets water.
She's Madam David Eto Brown Lasana, head of the National Elections Commission, speaking to journalists. The Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority has successfully concluded its second refresher workshop aimed at enhancing the skills and knowledge of its inspectors. The workshop offered an in-depth review of LACRA policies and operational guidelines with a strong emphasis on the role inspectors and quality control officer play in ensuring product quality. Here on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, at LACRA headquarters at the Freeport Monrovia, the one-day session highlighted LACRA's dedication to upholding high standards within Liberia cocoa and coffee sector. In an interview following the training, Godia Alpha Gonegoli, LACRA Deputy Director General for Operation and Technical Services, expressed optimism regarding the positive impact of recent staffing increases.
The essence of this workshop was mainly for us to be able to provide some of the refresher training. Some of our policies that our inspectors are in the field to know. They already went through the training, but as people stay away for not being having this type of engagement, they may make some mistake in the field that may not have good reputations from us. So from that aspect, we decided to have this type of refresher training for them. In every month, at the end of every month, we will always call them to come to be able to explain some of our policies to them so that they can be able to regulate our activities within the various fields. They are assigned to the various warehouses. We have our quality control staff and inspectors that are assigned to the various exporter warehouses, that is the cocoa and coffee. So they are there to make sure to guide these exporters owner to be able to do good shipment of cocoa and coffee. And
His LACRA Deputy Director General for Operation, speaking to journalists in Monrovia. Well, on that note, this is how we like to draw the curtains on this early morning edition of the program King's News Broom. But before we go, a recap of stories we've been following. House Speaker Councillor J. Funanti Kofa responds to a recent ruling by Associate Justice Yemi Kwesit, which denied his petition for a writ of prohibition against a group of lawmakers holding separate section at the Capitol. The National Executive Committee of the Congress for Democratic Change temporarily suspend a number of its lawmakers for their involvement in the Unity Party activities, such violation of the party constitution. President Joseph Waka announces an additional nomination in government affecting Sarah's ministry, especially the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other institutions. And away from Liberia, South Africa has closed one of its busier borders, crossing with Mozambique following violent post-electoral protests in the neighboring country. Thanks to all of those who helped in making this edition of Success. And my name is Otis Sankan. I presented this early morning presentation.